70,000 ghost workers flushed out of federal civil service. Good morning and welcome to the Dailies on Equa Television. We have a lineup of stories, interesting stories we would like to review alongside with you. I'll be doing this with Sele Elisha. I am Tosin Owolabi. Good morning, Sele.
Morning, Tosin.
Morning. Hope you slept well.
Yes.
Yes. Let's start with our papers.
Okay, and the first paper we have here is the Nigerian Tribune. And the first story, real reason Wike is angry. So if you want to know more about that, you can check that on page 19 of the Nigerian Tribune. And on defection, why Adamu promised aggrieve APC, what Adamu promised lawmakers, with detail on page 19 also. And women body confirm posthumous award on the HID or Wolowo, and we can actually read more of that on page 2. The big story, which is on alleged organ harvesting, how a Kurumadu wife landed in the UK court with the rider following that. Case involved boy 15 brought into UK from Lagos. A Kurumadu wife denied human trafficking exploitation allegations. Denied bail. Case resumed July 7th, and document in circulation shows Okuremadu involved the UK High Commission about his daughter's kidney donor. And there is a letter he wrote, and I would like to read that, stating December 28, 2021. Visa section, British High Commission, Abuja. And it have here, dear Sir Stroke Ma, reference to the medical visa application for upon our David. I'm writing in support of the visa application made by Mr. Upon Akwamini David, who is currently having medical investigation for a kidney donation to Miss Sonia Okoremadu. David and Sonia will be at the Royal Free Hospital, Lagos, and I will be providing the necessary funding. I have enclosed a statement of my bank account. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you require additional information. Please accept the assurance of my highest regard. Yours faithful, Senator Ike Ekweremadu. And this is a story that actually, caught my attention. It's on social media and everywhere. And just like the court said, the hearing will be on July 7th. That'll be next 2 weeks or so. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But then I know there have been contradiction, the fact that David is age 15, and also stories coming out that they said he was 21 and that's why he went over there. But I think still we need to hear what the parents have to say concerning that, because if David is 15, he's still a minor and he has the right, or rather he doesn't have the right, his parents have the right to actually talk about that. So we are still keeping our fingers crossed to see more about this story, because this is really not something that talking about a public figure like Senator Ike, that definitely people will come out to say all manner of things without knowing the detail of what actually happened, how David got to leave the shores of Nigeria, and the allegations that have been labeled on the senator. But we'll just keep our fingers crossed, and also to keep our viewers updated on more about that story.
Yes, concerning the story about the allegation on Senator Ike Ekweremadu concerning David Upo, who is the minor, and his daughter, who is supposed to donate the kidney to his Sonia Ekweremadu. There's this, that before you can give out something like that kidney, you need the consent of either the person and even his parents. That's both the person, that's David, who is giving out his kidney and who is donating his kidney, and also the parents of David. And it's learned that David is a homeless boy in Lagos State, and also the consent of the parents have been gotten concerning how he should give this the kidney to the daughter. And we saw the letter that was written to the British High Commission concerning taking the visa for David and even Sonia, and even the hospital where the transplant will take place. But we know how sophisticated it is when you go to the foreign country, and also we know that David is 15 years, and in the letter it was written that David is 21 years, and after investigation and after the medical treatment to test everything in the body of David, they found out that David is 21 years, and you see that 15 years is a minor to have to give out the consent. We believe that he don't know what he's doing to give out the consent for his kidney to be donated to Sonia. And now we see that Senator Ike Ekweremadu and even his wife have been have been arrested in the United Kingdom by the specialist crime team of the UK Metropolitan Police, and they confirmed that the pair conspired to facilitate the travel of a child to the country in order to harvest the minor's organ. And we all know that the hearing is on the July 7 concerning this, because definitely President Light is still on alleged. He has not been confirmed. Himself and his wife have not been confirmed guilty. But we just hope that since the parents of David Upo gave their consent that the kidney should be donated to Sonia, then we'll just hope that the parents will come for the hearing so that they can testify, attest that yes, their consent was gotten. Since David is said to be a minor, as with his age 15 years, his parents need to confirm that yes, their consent was gotten from the Senate, by the senator, on giving out the kidney to the daughter. And also the child, who is David Ipo, has been taken into protective custody in the United Kingdom. So we just hope that as the story keeps on unfolding, we'll definitely bring it back to you, our audience. And also on the 7th of July, we just hope that everything will be finalized concerning the issue. And if he is guilty for human harvesting, organ harvesting, then he should go through the full wrath of the law, because we keep on saying that no one is above the law. If he's found guilty, then you should go through the process of judgment concerning him. But we just hope that the parent of David Upo, since it is said that their consent was gotten, they will come out to attest that yes, their consent was gotten. It should not be that it was on a case of trafficking, because we have it on our papers that David is a homeless boy, and if someone who is homeless, definitely then it will be on the grounds that he was trafficked, he was kidnapped and taken there for his organs to be harvested for their daughter Sonia. But we just hope that as the story keeps on unfolding, we'll bring it back to our audience.
True. We'll bring to our viewers. Whether to cut out the story is still trending on the Nigerian Tribune. Atiku Okowa ticket will wrestle power from the APC. This is coming from the Delta governor. And we have politicians dividing Nigeria along religious lines incompetent. This is coming from the Sultan, with detail on page 29. Supreme Court Justice protest letter. PDP accuses APC of plot to emasculate the judiciary. And on the fuel scarcity, NNPC should address profiteering of private depots. This is coming from the Ipman. And we can see a picture here. The lawyer appears in Supreme Court in Olokupri's regalia. Says his kids will do same in school. Well, actually, I think this is a story that even though some people found it funny, but I think it was as a result of the Supreme Court passed the judgment that those of the other faith can actually wear the hijab to the court, and that's why we're seeing and he said his kids will be the same. But regardless of what it is, we are trying to see that if Nigeria does not belong to any religious group, we already accepted that these are the regalia that is accepted to be worn to certain public places. So I think we should obey the law. But we'll keep our fingers crossed to see how the end of the story is going to be at the end of the day.
Yes, since the Supreme Court have passed the judgment that Nigerians are allowed to express their way of worship and the use of hijab in schools and even public places, which validated his choice of dressing to the proceeding, which is the lawyer Malcolm. I see that, okay, since we have the right to dress whatever way, portraying your religion, even to school, then lawyers, doctors, different professions can dress the same way to portray their tradition, because it should not just be for a particular tradition alone. Because I see it, a religion, alone. I see that Nigerians now are wise enough and they know what is happening. One of the days when the rights of people are being infringed upon, you can see what he wore to the court hearing, and he said he's portraying his own religion also.
And his kids will do same.
And his kids will do same, and no one has the right to punish them even in school, because if others have the right to cover themselves and go to school, then his children also have the right to portray their own tradition and even their religion to school. And I say that because we know that unfolding events started in Kwara State, where there was the protest concerning the hijab, and later when Supreme Court passed the hearing and they said, okay, they now have the right in public schools to use their hijab, and even in public places to use their hijab and go to school. That is why we saw where the lawyer wore his own traditional attire and went to a court hearing. despite the fact that they wanted to stop him even at the entrance. But he gave them his reason why he is wearing this, and he was allowed to go in for the court hearing. And I say, if we really want to justify everything, we keep on preaching about justice and equity, and it should not just be about the sector alone, the federal sector alone. It should reflect in everywhere, Sele. And now we see it reflecting, because he said he's not against it, but he has the right now to portray his own religion. He has his right now to portray his own tradition wherever he goes to. Definitely, yesterday he was even on an interview. He was granted an interview on a press, and he was asked why is he not wearing the same attire for the interview. He said his tradition and his religion, his communication with his own gods, said he should wear it from 6 to 6. And we see that this issue of the hijab, and also they wear it during the school hours, they wear it to public places, they wear it in other places. When they wear it, you get to know their religion. It portrays their religion. So as individual, we have the right now to portray our religion wherever we go to. It is true, Sele. It's not a laughing issue. We have the right now to portray our religion wherever we go to. Since the Supreme Court have passed this hearing that, okay, wherever you can wear your hijab, even down to school. Because I see that the school is not about one religion alone. There are different people, different religion that go to this school. They interact together. Then imagine you wearing this. So many things runs through the mind of those children. And now we are seeing this. So we now have the right that everyone have the right to portray his or her religion wherever he go to, wherever he or she goes to. So since this have been passed by Supreme Court, then it should be balanced. There should be equity in everything, because if anybody does the same thing aside the wearing of hijab, nothing should be done to the person, since we all have the freedom, we all have the liberty to portray our religion wherever we find ourselves. And I see this is what the justice did, Malcolm did for his court hearing.
Well, just like you said, I'll just keep my fingers crossed, even though I'm looking at it from the point of view where we should maintain sanity and also orderliness, because I know things like this can actually, because it's strange to us in this part where we've already adapted other cultures, accepting the fact that we're going to public places, there are certain way we should dress. But just like you have said, it's just to balance it. If you are allowed as the other faith to dress in a particular way, then I should also be permitted to dress in that way. Where other stories still on the paper, suspected killers of Owo worshippers arrested. Ondo Amoteku says, we are not aware of any arrests. This is coming from the police. And you can read more of that on the front page and continue to read that on page 26. And the last story, 1 month after importers pick holes in custom VIN valuation, label policy selective, threaten no sue to VREG. We can actually read more of that also on page 7, and that's all on Nigerian Tribune.
And on the Punch newspaper, marketers notify federal government on planned fuel price hike. Queues persist. Southern leaders didn't agree on zone to produce president. This is coming from Okowa. And Wike meets Orubebe, PDP senators. On alleged organ trafficking, Ekweremadu wife risks long jail term. Federal government saves 10.2 trillion naira via TSA. IPPIS uncovers 70,000 ghost workers, and details can be found in page 20. And we learnt about the civil service who uncovered over 70,000 ghost workers. And we know this is a trend even in our civil service. This is a trend in different sectors where you see on the payroll, you see names of people who are supposed to be working in that organization, but that receive salary in that organization and are supposed to be working. But when you go to the organization physically, you don't even see these people even in those places. And that's why we see that everything is really capsizing. We see that everything is not working out well, because even the workforce, they don't have the workforce and they are receiving salaries. And we see where 70,000 ghost workers were discovered in the federal civil service. And we know that if these people are discovered, something needs to be done about it, because where have this salary that have been collected by these same people, where have it been going to? And we know that this have to do with people hiding under the cover of those names. When salary comes to their accounts and they're not going to work. And you see that we have the issue whereby people are not even having the job to go to any longer. People don't even have the job available. And just yesterday we saw where a portal is going to be opened for Nigerians. That's Nigerians that
unemployed.
that are unemployed, and even Nigerians in diaspora that are unemployed, for them to give out their details so that job opportunities can be given out to them, even through their details that is being given out in those portals. So like we spoke about the corruption, and this is just an example of corruption. Yes, one out of many acts and ways where corrupt practices are being done in our sector. Look at this issue now where these people have been discovered, and we're just hopeful that it is very good as we've discovered these people, and we'll just hope that they will do something about it. And the available now, we have space to employ more people into those places, because we talk about underemployment, we talk about all the sectors not having the necessary workforce for them to do what they are supposed to do. When you talk about go to the health sector, they say they don't have doctors. When you go to the educational sector, they say they don't have teachers. When you go to different sectors, they talk about the workforce underemployment. So we just hope that as this has been discovered, they will still look into other ways they can discover more ghost workers, because it's not just on the payroll system you get to see all these ghost workers. There are different ways these people can be gotten, and also we need to know where this money have been going to, where the salary that have been paid to this ghost worker, who is the one receiving all the salary. Then I just hope that portals will be opened for people to be able to apply, because I keep on saying we have people who are qualified to fit into all these organizations. We have people who are fit into all this parastatal, but what the opportunity is not available for them. And we spoke about corruption just yesterday on this platform, where even if you apply for these jobs, they tell you who do you have, who is the one to pursue all these jobs for you, and we see all these things coming forth. But we're just thankful that at the Federal Civil Service they've discovered this 70,000 ghost workers. Then we just hope that something will be done about these people, something will be done about those ghost workers. And we know that it's a result of people, even after death, they don't remove their file. They keep them even still on the payroll. You see people who are dead, their family are not the ones receiving the money, rather it goes to the higher authority. So we see all these corrupt practices, and we just hope that this sector, the large number of ghost workers have been seen in the sector, the person who is in charge of this sector should be called to book, because he or she knows he or she is supposed to know what is happening in that sector. So something needs to be done about it. Then portals should be have opened for people to apply. We have graduates, we still have our youth that are in corpus that are still in the camp. What after graduation from the camp, after they pass out from the camp, they come out to the labor market, and we say it should be favorable to these people. But when you go out, the opportunity is not available for you. You go to all this sector, there is no opportunity for you. Rather, you see the way they keep on replacing with their family members. So we just hope that something will be done about these things, and even other sector, they need to check all these things. Yes, to uncover ghost workers, so that portals will be open for people to apply and get jobs. And still on the Punch, 5G networks may interfere with aircraft landing, and this is coming from IATA. Aggrieved National Assembly members plan showdown with governors over lost ticket. Senator who lost ticket to governor's aides plan for governorship. National Assembly battles. Abiodun Fayemi Okowa's aide triumph in Ogun, Delta, Ekiti. Amoson's men lose out. Zamfara reps clinch PDP ticket after dumping APC, accuses ruling party of cheating. On hijab ruling, drama as lawyer wears native doctor attire to Supreme Court. Poly lecturers meet July 3rd may resume strike, and we are not aware Amotekun arrested or were massacre masterminds. This is coming from the Monarch and also Khan. Noodles truck crashes Lagos police traffic warder to death. How 3 ex-bank workers planned with hackers to steal 20 billion naira, and this is coming from a witness. Gunmen kidnap Ebonyi monarch, Nasarawa DPO, Ekiti retiree, 7 travelers. And forget about workers' salaries if petrol subsidy continues. This is coming from the oil suppliers, and details can be found in page 9. And we know this is as a result of the president meeting with Boris Johnson in Britain, and he told him about his schemes on how you can increase the salaries of workers for the civil service. And now we can see oil suppliers are saying forget about workers' salaries if petrol subsidy continues. We know that the petrol subsidy is something we have been clamoring on even right from the beginning of this year. We've been clamoring on this petrol subsidy, and even how petrol can be available even in our country. We see that just within January to June, we've had this issue of the scarcity of petrol coming thrice in a year. And now we see that even in different states, we have Abuja, in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, there's this long queue. The long queues have been persisting, and even on the plateau, we are experiencing the long queue. There's no availability of petrol. The petrol suppliers are talking about the subsidy. We see that filling stations are being shut because there is no petrol. We have the government talking about the regulated price of 165, and the marketers are saying they can't sell it at 165 because they can't sell it and run at loss. So we see all these things coming up. How can you even increase the salary of workers, where if all these things that are supposed to even help us in boosting our economy, in even helping us to uplift our GDP in our country, they are not available? These are the things we need to look into. All these things, if they are looked into, the salaries of workers, even if it's upgraded, it will be appreciated, because all these things we will not have it in a higher rate, because as a result of this scarcity of this petrol, we see that everything has been inflated. All prices have increased. There are things you go to the market today to get, tomorrow when you go, the price have changed because of this petrol that is not available. So we need to look into all those things that will help us in boosting our GDP as a country, that will help us in seeing that even the common man is living well even in the country. We see that this has even affected the scarcity of food even in the market, because they say there's no way it can be transported even from the farmland down to the market. So we need to look into all these things. We need to put our attention in the right direction. Things that will help us in boosting our GDP, we need to look into it, because even if we increase the salary of workers, say no matter how long it takes, we will still fall back because all these things are not looked into. So we need to put our attention in the right direction, so that even if we increase the salary of workers, they will appreciate it. Yes, and they will appreciate it.
Yeah,
yes, that's all on the Punch.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add a little before moving to the next paper, because you see the way things are looking at me, just like you're saying earlier this year, it was a battle between whether removing the fuel subsidy or keeping it. But then, even though they have maintained the fuel subsidy presently as it is right now, we are not even feeling the impact. It was more like, okay, stop paying the fuel subsidy, let's know we are buying petrol at a very high cost, we're buying our diesel at a very high cost, and then we know things are moving. Just yesterday on the paper, we saw how yam beans is very high in the market presently. In fact, when you're seeing eating yam now, you seem like a big man presently. So I think this is just like you said, it's really not okay right now. So we feel that with the president right now, after having this conversation with Boris, we hope that he will actually effect it and also look into how we can fix our refineries, because as far as we don't fix our refinery, this suffering will continue. Why? Because we will keep selling oil. Already we're having issues that we cannot even meet the supply of OPEC as it is presently. So I think we really need to look into what we need to do and make things right. Well, let's look at the next paper, which is the Daily Trust. Osun governorship election a must win for APC. This is coming from Adamu. Well, I think this should not be a must, but this should be left to the citizens of the state to decide whether APC will continue ruling that state. The person who attempted third term didn't end well. This is coming from Buhari. And on the fuel scarcity, address profiteering at depot, Ipman tells NNPC. And on the organ harvesting, Ekweremadu wife risks life imprisonment in UK, with the rider to remain in custody till July 7. Victim a minor. This is coming from the prosecutor. It's for my daughter's kidney transplant. This is coming from the ex-deputy Senate president. And court-martial military recommend imprisonment for the 30 soldiers and 4 dismissal. Yesterday we saw how some were actually caught because of disloyalty, and we see they're going to face court-martial. Well, I hope that after facing that court-martial, they won't be released, because if truly they are working with the enemies, they already know the tactics and they can actually give them more and they will be recruited. So I hope that they will be kept somewhere so that they don't get to mingle with the terrorists and give them insight on what we do in the military. ISWAP sack the military base, scatter away weapons in Borno. We have arrested the suspected Owo Church attacker. This is coming from the Amotikos. And another story here. Case romance with APC, Labour Party raises dust in PDP. Rivers governor weighs option. No crisis in our party. This is coming from the PDP. And Bala Mohammed and others moved to placate the governor. You can see a picture story here of the queue people are presently going through. And that's all on the Daily Trust newspaper.
On the Voice of Liberty, federal government reveals plan to increase salaries of federal civil servants. Arewa youths hail Emefiele for helping Buhari deliver on economic agenda. Bandits attack Castina Metropolis, abduct residents. And on the 26th CHOGM, President Buhari at Kigali Memorial says Nigerians must be their brothers' keepers. President Muhammadu Buhari has passionately appealed to Nigerians to tolerate one another and embrace peace for the general good of the society. Federal government opens portal to document unemployed Nigerians. And on our church attack, Amotekun arrest terrorists who killed 40 worshippers. And I'll say you can see the importance of state policing. Sele, we've been talking about state policing and how we can adopt the state policing even in different states, because they get to know the nooks and crannies in this state, and also they see, when they see strange faces, they try to trail those people and know what has happened and why those people have come. We see reports where they say all the terrorists move from one state to the other as a result of having food. They move from one state to the other, and even they go into those states to create havoc. We saw what happened in Ondo State. We saw how Amotekun have been able to arrest all those people who were part of the massacre in the church. And now we see that state policing is very important. If only this bill of the state policing can be passed, so that in different states we'll have all the state policing. They work hand in hand with our military operative. It's not that we're trying to sideline the military operatives in those states, but they work together so that they give out details to all those people, and also they go through all those nooks and crannies in communities. So if they see strange faces, they can report to the police and they can arrest those people. Because the way we are the point we are going through in our country, where insecurity have become the order of the day, and these terrorists are spread across even in 36 states and even in the federal capital territory. We hear reports where they say they are not safe from this terrorist group. Just yesterday we heard about the arrest of a general's wife in Chikun. So we need to adopt the state policing even in our state, so that they work hand in hand with the military, so we can curb this issue of insecurity. Because as the military is talking about, the federal government is talking about curbing the issue of insecurity. Mr. President have given the go ahead on how these people can be arrested, but we need other security forces. We need other forces that will work with our security agencies, so that we can curb this issue of insecurity if we really want to tackle insecurity. Because people's life now are at risk. People are no longer safe. People are moving around with double minds. People are suspecting one another around us. So we need to look into all these things, have the state policing. And this state policing, in another way to curb insecurity, it also be another way to provide job opportunities even to our youths and people out there. So we need to look into state policing, and we applaud what Amotekun have done in Ondo State in arresting the terrorists who killed 40 worshippers in the church. And we just say that they should not stop in Ondo State. They should spread across even to neighboring states to look out for these people and even to arrest them. And if these people are arrested, they should be brought to book, because it should not just stop in arresting these people, but they should face the full wrath of the law, because they've caused havoc in the state, they've caused havoc in families, and also they've caused the stigma in the life of people. So they should not be allowed to move around. They should not be allowed to mingle with the public any longer. They should face the full wrath of the law. On 2023, spiritual forces have chosen Southeasterners as Buhari's successor. This is coming from the ex-rep member. Probe Supreme Court Justice's corruption allegation against CGN. Huriwa urges NJC and CCT. And we have the Kaduna terror attack victim countdown, 88 days in captivity. And that's all on the Voice of Liberty. But before we continue with other papers, we would like to take this moment where we'll go on a break, and we'll be right back. We're live on Facebook. Our phone lines will be open. Do well to drop your comments on stories that interest you. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the program, The Dailies on Equa Television. We would like you to call. Our phone lines are opened. Call about stories that interest you. We've reviewed stories about Senator Ike Ekweremadu on the alleged case about organ transplant, and also the 70,000 ghost workers that were discovered in the civil service, and also promises made to upgrade the salaries of civil servants, and even much more stories will be reviewed on our papers. We'd like you to call on stories that interest you. Our phone lines are open and it is displayed on your screen, and also do well to drop your comments on our official Facebook pages. So let's move over to the next paper.
Yes, let's take a look at an international paper, which is the Daily Express, and the first story I'll take here is on Boris. British troop could help get grain out of Ukraine, and we can see that on pages 8 and 9 of the Daily Express newspaper. And the big story here, judge slammed his own court over secret Rwanda ruling. The secrecy of the European Court of Human Rights ruling on the UK's Rwanda migration flight was sensational, criticized yesterday by one of his own judge. The lawyer was taken aback to learn that his colleague behind the decision to ground a plane deporting illegal immigrants had not been identified.
So I have a call, Mr. James from Taraba. Hello, Mr. James. Please move away from your TV set.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I would like to comment concerning this third church that you people say that are arresting them. So I don't know what are they are going to do with those people. Can you imagine? I hear you people say that these people kill over 40 people in the church. Now that they are arrested, so I don't know what our government they are going to do with these people, because I know in Nigeria, maybe before you know, these people you will see them out there again. Maybe they cannot even take the action because our policemen, our government, we are all after money. Maybe if they have a good leader, all I know, if these people have a strong leader, before you know, tomorrow you will see them out there. But please, my comment is that let me just say thank God that they arrest them, and I believe our God will never sleep, and our God will walk upon them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. James. The important thing is that they've been arrested, and we are hopeful that they will face the full wrath of the law, because the judgment that is passed to you, who killed someone, you have your own judgment. So we're just hopeful that these people will not be released and move around and even mingle with the society. They will face the full wrath of the law, and it is really good because we know that the governor of Ondo State is so keen about this killing and is interested in this case. So we know that there will be follow-ups concerning these people, and definitely as it unfolds, we'll bring it out to you. And we're just hopeful that the federal government, we just hope that the federal government will not release people. They will face the full wrath of the law, because they've killed so many things. Just like we said, they've created so much havoc even in different states. Aside what happened in Ondo State, we have Mr. Shaibu from Bashi. Good morning.
Morning.
Hello?
Good morning, Mr. Shaibu. Go on.
I'm just viewing the program now. Right now, I'm doing the program. Hello?
We can hear you, Mr. Shaibu. Please go on.
Hello? I say I'm just viewing the program now. I'm still very interested in that program. Hello?
Okay, Mr. Shaibu. On the daily, are you done with the
Yes,
paper?
I'm done with Daily Express.
Okay, on the Daily Mail newspaper, we have Boris Rwanda rebuke to Prince Charles. With the pair set to meet today, PM urges critics to keep an open mind on policy Royal said was appealing. The whole world wondering why Murdoch and Jerry split. Richard K. has the inside story, and the inside story can be found in page 12 and 13 of the Daily Mail newspaper. The real Kate deserves better than this. Critics skating verdict on new royal portrait, and that's all on the Daily Mail newspaper.
All right, let's go back to our own paper, and this is the Vanguard newspaper. And the first one here is an encounter that said how we almost ruin our lives, rehabilitated drug addicts. And you can read more about that on page 12 of the Vanguard newspaper. And on the hijab, drama as lawyers storm Supreme Court in traditional religious attire. Energy crisis, Ipman in showdown with NUPEC, they pour over illegal charges, with detail on page 8. Reps query approval process of the $49 million.
Okay.
Sorry, Sele, to cut you short. Mr. Shaibu is back. Hello, Mr. Shaibu.
I'm sorry. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Shaibu. Please go on with your comment.
Okay, I want to emphasize on the issue of the security challenges in this country.
Okay.
So now, what I want you people to focus on, because of the Christian family and Christian brothers in the country, the prayer is one of the key most of the emphasize on, and the security issues is only based on the spiritual fathers. Let them emphasize their self-hold, extend themselves into politics. Let them look into their work, and let them pray hard for the Christian family in this country. That is my contribution only.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments, for your contribution, Mr. Shuaibu.
Yes, and still on the Vanguard newspaper, reps query approval process of the $49 million for rehabilitation of refineries. Well, we keep our fingers crossed, even though I'm expecting that we should be excited about reviving our refineries. But I think if only this money will truly be used to, to rehabilitate this refinery, then we'll be excited. Just like I said, it's one thing for us to keep paying fuel subsidy over and over and over and over again, and while we have our own refineries here, all we need to do is bring them back. I remember we discussed this here. People go to the university. We have students that have studied all how to go about, is it the petrochemical engineering, how to go about all these things. So I believe that this should be a follow-up, and auditing should be done. If eventually this money is being disbursed, we should make sure that that money is truly used to rehabilitate these refineries, so that we can refine our own crude oil over here in the country. And other stories here: domestic and foreign transaction in stock rise 61% to 1.5 trillion naira, with detail on page 19. The big story, how we now perpetrators of the Owo massacre. This is coming from the Amoteku, with the rider arrested suspect not ISWAP, Amoteku source. Remember that it was actually said before, but here we're having the source saying that it was not the ISWAP. Recovers weapon, vehicle, naps 71 other criminals in 1 month. We are not aware. I think this is coming from the police. And the Catholic Church can Owolowo keeps mom. They should be paraded, victim's brother. It's time for the state police. This is coming from the Afeni Ferry. As Oyo government register commercial motorcycle operators. I think this is the right step in the right direction. Other stories here: alleged organ harvesting plot. Ekweremadu, wife held in UK police custody, and the case has been adjourned till July 7th. Train attack, relatives of adopted passengers contemplating suicide. It's really a sad one when you have your loved ones. We hope that the government will look into that too. Federal government saved 10 trillion naira in the TSA operation. This is coming from Arabi. And MTN NCC confirms 5G will go live August. And on the strike, change your approach, Varsity Registrar tells ASU, Sanisu, and others. And that's all on the Vanguard newspaper.
On Daily Independent, UK court remands Ekweremadu wife for alleged organ harvest. Document shows Ekweremadu sought visa for kidney donor to daughter. Drama as lawyer attends Supreme Court proceeding in Juju priest attire. Buhari reveals plan to increase salaries of civil servants, rebuffs third term suggestion by UK Prime Minister. My bishop will decide when I will return to adoration ground. This is coming from Father Mbaka. And on the Daily Independent newspaper, Amotekun arrests suspects behind Owo massacre. Gunmen kidnap Ebonyi monarch, and details can be found in page 7. A $9.6 billion P&ID contract. Court orders Marcotte to forfeit assets to federal government and wind up. We have saved 10 trillion naira through TSA. This is coming from the federal government. Says public servant working at federal level now 720,000. Reveals why discrepancies exist in IPPIS implementation. Appeal Court affirms conviction of defunct bank PHB MD Atuche. Details can be found in page 6 of the Daily Independent newspaper, and that's all on Daily Independent.
Okay, let's take a little look at the world of sports. The first story here, Chelsea to sign Neiman. This is on the Sporting Sun newspaper. Arsenal verbally agrees to sign Jesus. And we have Super Eagles drop in the FIFA ranking, now 4th in Africa, 31st in the world. And our international basketball, federal government makes U-turn recognize Zida-led board. Other stories still on the Sporting Sun, we can see, I still want to continue coaching. This is coming from Zidane. And we have other story, Man United PPS approved offer for Dijon. Eaglets in high spirit ahead the Beaverson tie. And we have other quite interesting stories on the Sporting Sun newspaper. So for all our sport lovers, you can grab the paper and read detail of any of the sport that is of interest to you.
On the Nation newspaper, police Amotekun disagree over arrest of all attack suspect. 70,000 ghost workers flushed out of federal civil service. An Oyo House set to determine deputy governor's fate. MTN MAFAP gets August 24 deadline to roll out 5G. On defections, why senator reps may lose seat. And Okowa is saying, I could not have rejected Atiku's running mate offer. And detained Ekweremadu wife risks 10-year jail in UK. Couple arrest at airport in presence of High Commission officials. Remanded till July 7th over allegation of organ harvest and orders. Buhari on third term, the man who tried it did not end very well. President urges UK to support Nigeria on security. Kanu not denied private access to lawyers, and lawyer dresses like God of River to Supreme Court. The last story on the Nation, federal government shares $322.5 million Abacha loot to 19 million Nigerians. Details can be found in page 7, and we need documents on the Nigerians that have received this money on the Abacha loot, because now we hear that it's shared to 19 million Nigerians. Then we need documents on people who have received this money.
Names, states, local governments.
Definitely, sir. We need documentation on all these things, because when we talk about the Auditor General's office, we need to see documents going on people who have received this Abacha loot. And please, if you have received this Abacha loot, do well to call us so that we'll know people who have benefited from this loot, because we don't want to see all these things coming up and people have not benefited from all these things. You see, this is where a manner at which corruption is still thriving even in our country. True. So we need to see people who have received this Abacha loot, who this money have been shared to. We need them to call us and say, okay, this is it, I've received this money. Then we can testify to this, that some people have been receiving this money. That's all on the Nation newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at the New Telegraph newspaper. Dambata 5G deployment may face resistance in Nigeria. Other story here, Naira falls to 611 Naira per $1 at the parallel market, and Naira keep depreciating. Other stories here, 2023, no term for me, Buhari tells the British Prime Minister, insists that IPOP leader Kanu must face the trial.
Sorry, Select, to cut you short, we have Aminu from Jigawa. Good morning.
Hello.
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 Good morning. Please go on, Mr. Aminu.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Please go on.
My comment is, my contribution is about this Abacha loot. I think I don't know how people are trying to do something. If you look at the corruption cases everywhere, even the county general office, but where we don't receive any money concerning Abacha loot or whatever. So let the government come out and tell us who they give their money to share and whatever. So that's my contribution. This is not the way government is supposed to share money or supposed to be and follow the way to share money. And I don't think all this in the corruption is high, because they come out in the campaign and tell people that they will fight corruption. Then at last, look at the government parastatals. They involve this government. They involve in the corruption. But in fact, I am very, very annoyed about this thing. Thank you very much. That's my contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Aminu. You talking about the Abacha loot. I thought Mr. Aminu would come up and say he is a beneficiary from the Abacha loot. But he's saying that these are just stories to cover up this money that have been amassed by these people. But we just hope that if you've received from the Abacha loot, do well to call us so that we know that yes, people have received. But we need documentation on the number of people that have received this money and the amount that was given to these people and the state of origin and even local government of people who benefited from this. Because this money cannot just go like that. We're talking about development in our country. We're talking about infrastructure in our country. We're talking about different sectors that need to be upgraded. Then money like this should be shared among people. No, we need to see how this money have gone to the right way, because this money was gotten from our country. This wealth was amassed from our country. So this money needs to go back to this country in developing this country as well.
Of course, other stories still on the New Telegraph newspaper. Why I can't pay salaries by autumn. You can check more about that on page 3. And drama as lawyer dress as traditionalists appear in the Supreme Court. Why INEC should prosecute vote buying suspects. This is coming from Falana, and you can read more of that on page 4. And on the human organ trafficking, how Sonia's kidney problem landed Ekweremadu and wife in the UK court, with the rider ex-deputy Senate president fully disclosed reasons for taking donor to London. NNPC to deport owners sell fuel at approved price to be blacklisted.
We have Mr. Mordecai from Kaduna. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Mordecai. Please go on with your comment. You have 5 minutes.
Hello?
Mr. Mordecai, please go on with your comment.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm speaking from Kaduna. I just want number one, bandit that were arrested. This is not any of their names. The reasons I want to do their I read them on the line, see these people. On there, the other answer, the kind of people that's this hijab issue that individual that entered Supreme Court with the happening who loves I'm not a the Bible says that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mordecai. Sally, I would like you to round up.
Yes. And then other stories still on New Telegraph here. We have CBN approves 385 billion naira for the real sector to boost the GDP. This can be found on page 17 and 18. And on Nasarawa, gunmen kidnap divisional police officer, demand 5 million naira ransom. And the rising insecurity, protect people of the southeast. Rep tells the federal government, says unlicensed non-state actors and others causing mayhem in the zone should be disarmed. Seek measures to halt money laundering through gaming, and security, welfare, people's happiness, utmost in governance. This is coming from Osibanjo. And we have a study here that's actually study link air pollution to brain development risks, and you can read more of that on page 26, and that's all in the New Telegraph.
Thank you very much, Sele, for doing this with me.
My
and
pleasure.
That's a wrap on the program, The Dailies on Equa Television. More interesting and fresh programs come up right after this, but do well to see you next week Monday, where we'll bring you a fresh package on The Dailies. Thank you and have a blessed weekend.